some suggestion that the public is less likely to go back to the same enthusiastic support of home ownership. There might be a drift toward rental and urban living, which might mean that the houses, scattered, dispersed single-family homes won't sell well. And you know, the longer-term trend is down. It's been going down for 6 years now. We've seen examples in other countries. Japan had a similar housing boom in the 1980s, peaked in the early 1990s, and has been going down virtually ever since. It's been 20 years. So you know, I don't think we know. I'm just suggesting caution in jumping back to the assumption that it's off to the races again.
Right. Or even the assumption that it's in fact a stable investment. Do you think that we could see another big leg down? I mean, let's think about this for a moment, Professor. If, in fact, Treasury rates continue moving higher, the 10-year continues to move higher. We've already seen it flirt above 2%, forgive me. Do we run the risk that as rates move higher, mortgage rates move up, and thus people can afford less home, and maybe we see another big move down?
That's right. Well, that could happen. I don't like to be so pessimistic. I'm just talking about reality. And I think that this is a speculative market. They go up, they go down, they're hard to forecast. You can only forecast housing out.
Really? I mean, why buy a home? I mean, people trap their savings in a home. They're running an opportunity cost of not having that money liquid and available to earn a better return in things like the market. I mean, why do it?
Absolutely. Housing is traditionally not viewed as a great investment. It takes maintenance, it depreciates, it goes out of style. All those are problems. And there's technical progress in housing, so the new ones are better. So why is it considered an investment? That was a fad. That was an idea that took hold in the early 2000s, and I don't expect it to come back, not with the same force. So people might just decide, yeah, I'll diversify my portfolio and I'll live in a rental. Very sensible thing for many people to do.
Professor, you ran some numbers that absolutely amazed me when we spoke a few months ago, talking about real appreciation of houses going back to 1900. Can you remind our viewers exactly what one should expect to make in real terms after you count for all the expenses?
Yes, right. Zero. From 1890 to 1990, the appreciation in real terms of U.S. housing, according to my numbers, was just about zero. Now, that amazes people. But it shouldn't be so amazing, because the cost of construction has been going, well, there's technical progress in construction. So in many ways it's going down, and the cost of labor has been weakening because of the income inequality problem that we talk about. So it's just not it's not going up. Construction costs have not been going up. So you don't expect housing to go up. I like to make an analogy to investing in cars. If you think investing in housing is such a great idea, why not invest in cars? Well, obviously, you know, buy a car, mothball it, and wait 20 years to sell it. Obviously not a good idea, because people won't want our cars. It's the same with our houses. So they're not really basically an investment vehicle unless you want it for your personal reasons.
Robert, I'm going to go out on the limb here. I would take totally the other side of your trade here. I think for the next 5 years, housing is going to be the engine that steers growth here. I think when you look at where we have inventory here, and we're starting to get housing starts a little better, but more importantly, I really think that the whole rental premium that's going on is going to force people to really start thinking about buying. And I think that that transition is going to have a little longer tail of getting people back into the purchasing sector.
You might be right. How sure are you when you say that? You're talking about a scenario, or are you confident?
Well, I'm pretty confident, but not being a banker anymore, I mean, I guess...
Would you go out and buy a house right now?
You know, this is a guy that has the same house that I bought in 1994.
Okay, so easy for you to say. Hey, Robert, I'm curious, do you own a home, given your concerns?
I own 2 homes. Well, I've got a summer home and a regular home.
And did you purchase these homes for the utility that they provide as opposed to the investment return they provide, Professor?
That was the main motivation, right. And diversification, you know. It's not that I have a strong opinion about housing. But that was the real motivation. Right. I want the houses. That's all.
We always
My
do.
wife wants them.
There you go. See, it's all about us gals. But let me ask you a question here, Robert. What happens if we're in an environment where we see property taxes start to move up, as they already have in some cases, and if we see the President and Congress get rid of the mortgage tax deduction?
Right.
What does that do to housing?
And I would add a third thing, that they might not continue to support Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, who are supporting, and FHA are supporting most of our mortgages. There's a lot of uncertainties. That's why I think it's hard to forecast. Forecasting in finance is a notoriously difficult thing to do. So I think it could go up and it could go down. People should think of housing as a really risky investment right now, not as a sure profit opportunity. That's why I was asking Robert, how sure are you, really? I don't think we can be sure.
No,
Nobody
I don't think
knows
you can be sure. I mean, I think, obviously, when we try to transition from public sector origination to private sector, which we have been unable to do, to your point, you know, rates will back up and things will be more expensive, and I think it's going to, you know, could put a weakening on the housing, but it doesn't seem like we're going to get that transition for a long time.
No, it may not. Yeah. And Professor, I have to point out, we were talking about Toll Brothers. Amazing, right? Toll Brothers, the stock is only down 40%. Toll Brothers' earnings are down 80%. Begs the question, have Americans, or at least investors, really learned anything over the past 5 years, Professor?
Now, Toll Brothers, they build multifamilies too, right?
Yeah.
If we move toward a rental market, there'll be a lot of business for them.
Yeah. They're doing very well, and they have the whole New York urban stuff that they're working on.
Which, by the way, is a new business that they've started just in the past year. Professor Shiller of Yale University, sir, always a pleasure. Thanks for being on the show.